Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in today's video I've got a species profile for a fish I absolutely love, and that is the Roseline Shark, otherwise known as the Denison Barb. This is a great fish, but a lot of times people don't realize just how large it can grow, and so there are some special considerations to make. This fish is from India, and what's nice about it is the males and the females for the most part look pretty much the same. They have great coloration, as you can see here. Now, they're on a lighter substrate. This is a tank from Fish Gallery located just north of Dallas. I'll put their information down in the description below. Really cool place. Really nice tank. This tank was well over 100 gallons. Very well maintained. But this is a great fish with great color. Like I said, it's on lighter substrate. These fish tend to have a little bit darker coloring, especially in the red when they're on a darker substrate, but look great here as well. They're mostly peaceful, which is pretty nice. I think what a lot of people can really appreciate about this fish is the fact that they love to be in groups. They're fairly active, and for the most part, they leave other fish alone, but that's not always the case. One of the nice things about the Roseline Shark is they are nice schooling or dither fish when you have some medium to large size South and Central American cichlids. So they're pretty tame, they're pretty peaceful, they stay in groups. They're not generally going to pick on other fish, and other fish for the most part leave them alone. Plus, these guys are really fast, and so if there are other fish that are more aggressive, they usually do a pretty good job of staying away from them. They can live a long time, anywhere between 7 to 10 years, maybe even longer. Retail prices, they're usually going to be somewhere around $8 to $15 a piece. A lot of that depends on the size. If you're thinking about buying these fish or need other fish and are looking online, check out Flip Aquatics, flipaquatics.com. They are a channel sponsor. They are awesome at what they do, and they sell fish that they've quarantined for at least 2 weeks. Other shrimp quarantined for at least 4. So the big thing with these fish is keep them in groups. You can see them here, look awesome in groups of at least 6. I like to keep them in groups of 10 or even 12 if you can. They do have an albino variety. The albino variety is a little tricky because these fish will look like this for a while, but some of them revert back to wild type, and the albinos can be a lot more, sometimes 3 or 4 times more expensive than the normal variety. And sometimes you get these fish looking like this and they wind up looking like normal fish a few months later. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as tank mates go, I'll put some tank mate options down in the description below, some species profiles for you there. But there's a lot of cool options. A lot of your other barbs, so your tiger barbs, your clown barbs, Odessa barbs are all really great. Rosy barbs. Full-size rainbow fish would be a really nice example. In this tank, you could see there are some gouramis in here, some jewel cichlids, parrot cichlids, all really good choices there. You could potentially look at some of your larger cichlids too, like your severums, your geophagus, your electric blue acara. Larger tetras work out great, like your Buenos Aires, red eyes, Colombian tetras. Perfectly fine with cory cats. Bristlenose plecos might be another really good option. I would not consider them to be shrimp or betta safe, just because shrimp will probably go missing, and those long fins on bettas might be a little bit too tantalizing for them to resist. One thing I will mention is I had these fish in with some Viejas cichlids, and Vieja are pretty large South American cichlids, and I did find them to fin nip them a little bit. The Vieja were pretty skittish, and once I removed these fish from the tank, that fin nipping and their fin damage went away. So while they're mostly peaceful, every once in a while, and this could have been just the fact that I only had 2 in that tank, and they're usually better off in a group, but they can be a little bit fin nippy, so I would not necessarily recommend them for veil-tailed angels, certainly not guppies. For their water parameters, pretty straightforward, anywhere from around 72, 73 up to 80 degrees. We usually keep ours closer to around 80. Water hardness, anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees on your GH and KH. Water quality, make sure you've got a cycle tank. If you don't know what that means, check out that video in the upper right-hand corner where we go over that, because that's really important here. We don't want an ammonia or nitrite spike with these guys. They tend not to do that well. But overall, this is a really hardy fish. We have brought in many hundreds when we have been importing fish, and very rarely ever lose any. And so that's one of the things I love about them, is when we bring them in massive quantities, they are hardy, they adapt well to our water parameters. Feeding them is not difficult. We fed all of ours, again, hundreds and hundreds of these things, if not maybe 1,000. We feed primarily North Fin foods, so North Fin flakes, the kelp, the krill, the community, the cichlid flake, they ate it all. The Bug Pro pellets, they absolutely love those. They love the cichlid sinking pellets, so they're really not all that choosy when it comes to food. Tank size, this is where I think the internet sometimes really gets it wrong. I would highly prefer at least a 4-foot tank for your Roseline sharks. 75 gallon would be great. These fish are going to max out somewhere around 6 inches or so, and if you're keeping them in a group, that's a pretty big fish to have in an aquarium that is going to be less than 4 feet. So I definitely recommend at least a 55 gallon, but 75 gallon or greater is a really nice option. We keep ours in a 125 long term just because of their activity level and their size. I think they really do well in those 6-foot tanks. When you're thinking about how to set up your aquarium, how to decorate it, how to aquascape it, they've done a really good job here. Again, sand substrate is probably the preferable way to go just because they do spend some time towards the bottom of the aquarium. Not necessarily like a cory cat or a loach would, but you see that they do spend a lot of time down there. They will feed off the bottom of the tank as well. I mentioned this already, but the darker colors, the darker substrates and backgrounds tends to show off their color a little bit more, but they look really nice on this lighter substrate as well. Rocks, wood, structure, they will certainly appreciate that. Live plants are here. They've got the plastic plants, which works out just fine, but they do like that structure, helps them feel a little bit more confident, a little bit safer. And this is a fish that's going to want some open swimming space. Again, those torpedo-shaped fish tend to be fish that are going to move a little bit faster, swim a little bit faster. And so just keep that in mind. Give them some open water swimming space. That will really help. They don't mind a little bit of flow. And so if you've got a canister filter in your aquarium or a wave maker, it's certainly not required, but they will definitely not mind it. And the tanks that we have with our Roseline sharks, we've just got sponge filters, and they've been doing just fine there with a whole mix of basically peacock cichlids, small South American, Central American cichlids as well, along with some loaches, and they've been getting along pretty well in that aquarium. In terms of breeding this fish, it's really not done all that much in captivity. There are some large fish farms that do breed them, but for the most part, it takes a lot of effort in captivity and possibly the introduction of hormones to get them to breed. And so it's pretty much left to the fish farms. That's generally where they're coming from these days anyway. So the bottom line is, if you're looking for a great fish that's going to be a little bit on the larger side, you've got that 75 gallon or larger, you need that dither / schooling fish or shoaling fish because you've got some larger aquarium inhabitants like you're seeing here with the parrotfish or maybe even some Oscars or Severums, Geophagus. This is a really solid option. Would love to hear from you. If you've had them, what was your experience? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Again, if you want to see more information about tank mates, check out those videos in the upper and lower right-hand corner as well as in the description below. As always, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week.